In this video, we will take a closer look at the movie Blade. We will discuss the storyline, provide a summary of the plot, and explore the main cast and character. In addition, we will examine the movie production detail and its box office performance. Finally, we will share viewers' opinion and personal reaction to the film. So let's get started. Before diving into the detail of the story and the characters, it's worth taking a moment to understand why Blade is such an important movie to talk about. When people think of modern superhero cinema today, then often remember films like Spider-Man or the Avengers. However, years before these blockbuster franchises dominated theaters, Blade quietly helped change the landscape of comic book film. It combined superhero storytelling with dark horror element, creating a style that felt fresh and intense of its time. The movie belonged to a unique blend of genre. At its core, Blade is a superhero film because the central character is a powerful hero who protects humanity. But unlike many traditional superhero stories, the film also leans heavily into horror and action. The world of Blade is filled with vampires, underground nightclubs, secret societies, and brutal battle. This mixture of genre gives the movie a darker and more mature tone compared to many comic book adaptations that comes later. Instead of bright costume and colorful cities, viewers see shadowy streets, dangerous enemy, and intense fight sequence. Another reason the film stand out is the work of director Stephen Norrington approached the film with a strong visual style that helped create the gritty atmosphere the movie is known for. He focused on building a world that feels mysterious and slightly hidden from normal society. In the film, vampires secretly lived among humans, controlling part of the city from the shadow. This idea of hidden supernatural society add depth to the movie's universe and keep the audience curious about what might be happening behind closed door. The production style of Blade also deserve attention. The film uses a mix of practical effect, martial art, choreography, and early digital effect to bring its action scenes to life. Many fight sequences are fast, stylish, and carefully choreographed. Blade movements are precise and powerful, give the character a strong and intimidating presence. These sequences help set a standard for action choreography in later superhero films. The cinematography and lighting also play a big role in the film's identity. Much of the movie takes place at night or in dimly lit environment, reinforcing the horror tone of the story. Shadow, neon light, industrial setting create a gritty urban atmosphere. This visual approach makes the world of vampire feel believable and dangerous. It also highlights the contrast between Blair's himself and the creature he wants. He moves confidently through these dark spaces, showing that he understands this hidden world better than anyone else. Music is another element that shapes the movie's identity. The soundtrack features energetic electronic and techno beats that match the fast-paced action sequence. This style of music was especially popular in the late 1990s and helped give the movie a modern and edgy feel. This opening nightclub sequence in particular is often remembered for how the music, lighting, and action combine to create an unforgettable introduction to the film's tone. Of course, no discussion of Blade would be complete without mentioning the performance of Wesley Snipes in the title role. Snipe brings both physical skill and strong screen presence to the character. His martial art background allows the fight scenes to feel authentic and powerful, while his calm and control acting style make Blade appear mysterious and disciplined. The character does not speak excessively, but every moment and line of dialogue reinforces determination and strength. When looking back today, it becomes clear that the film played a major role in proving that comic book character could succeed in darker, more mature stories. It opened the door for studio to excitement with different tones and storytelling approach in superhero movie. Without film like Blade, the evaluation of the superhero genre might have take to very different path. As we continue discussing this movie, it will be interesting to explore how its story, character, and action sequence all work together to create such a memorable cinematic experience. Blade is more than just a vampire action film, it is an important step in the development of modern superhero cinema. When analyzing the production budget of the film, it is important to consider the film financial scale, how the resources were distributed across different aspects of production. Later 1990s, directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the film represented a modern financial investment for a studio action film of that period. The estimated production budget for Blade was approximately $45 million for a film released in 1998. This amount placed it in the mid-range category of studio production. It was not considered a small independent project, but it was also far less expensive than some of the largest Hollywood blockbusters of the time. Studio often approached comic book adaptation cautiously in the late 90s because the genre had experienced inconsistent commercial success during the previous decade. As a result, the budget for Blade was carefully planned to balance financial risk with the need to create a convincing action sequence and supernatural effect. A significant portion of the budget was allocated to action choreography and stunt coordination. The character of Blade is portrayed as a highly skilled fighter who uses martial arts, swords, and specialized weapons to battle vampire. Because of this, the film required extensive stunt work training and carefully designed fight scene. Wesley Snipes, who had experience in martial art, performed many of the physical sequences himself. This approach helped the action appear more authentic but also required additional time and resources during production to coordinate safe and visually effective combat scenes. Another major area of spending involved special effects and visual effects. Since the story revolved around vampire and supernatural powers, the filmmaker needed to create convincing transformation, explosion of vampire bodies, and other visual elements associated with horror and fantasy storytelling. During the late 90s, digital visual effects were becoming more common, but they were still relatively expensive and technically limited compared to modern technology. The production therefore combined practical effects, makeup, prosthetic, and early CGI technique. This hybrid approach allowed the filmmaker to control cost while still delivering visually striking moments, such as the famous scene where defeated vampire disintegrate into ash. The set design and location shooting also represented a noticeable part of the film's resource allocation. Much of the story takes place in dark urban environments, street laboratory, underground clubs, and industrial space. Production designer created detailed sets that reinforce the film's gritty and mysterious tone. Lightning, props, and costume design were carefully chosen to emphasize the contrast between the human world and the hidden vampire society. Blade, distinctive black leather outfit, and specialized weapon also required custom design and fabrication, adding to the production cost. In addition to the technical elements, part of the budget went toward cast and the crew salaries. Wesley Snipes was already an established action star at the time, known for roles in films such as Demolition Man and Passenger 57. His involvement gave the project credibility and helped attract audience. However, the film did not rely on large ensemble of highly paid stars, which helped keep the overall budget within a manageable range. When comparing Blade to the similar film of the era, its budget appeared relatively modest. For example, Batman and Robin reportedly had a production budget of over $120 million, making it far more expensive. However, that film critical reception and financial performance created uncertainty about the future of cosmic book adaptation. In contrast, Blade demonstrated that a well managed mid level budget could produce a successful and visually engaging superhero movie without requiring massive financial investment. The film control spending strategy ultimately proved effective. Within a production cost of about $45 million, Blade was able to generate a strong box office return and build a loyal fan base. Its success helped encourage studio to consider the potential of darker comic book character and prove the way for later superhero film that could receive significantly larger budget. Overall, the production budget of the film reflect a carefully balanced financial plan. By allocating resources strategically across action, choreography, special effects, set design, and talent, the filmmaker created a movie that delivered high entertainment value while maintaining a reasonable production cost. This financial efficiency helped an important role in the film's long-term impact on the superhero genre. One of the most distinctive aspect of the film is the way it blends several genres into a single cinematic experience. Rather than fitting neatly into one category, the film combines superhero action, horror, and dark fantasy, creating a unique style and that helped it stand out in the late 90s. Directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the movie creates a powerful atmosphere through its tone, pacing, and visual design. At its core, Blade can be described as a superhero film in the central character possesses extraordinary abilities and dedicates his life to protecting humanity. However, unlike many traditional superhero movies that focus on colorful heroism and light-hearted storytelling, Blade embraces a darker direction. The protagonist operates in secret, moving through hidden corners of the city where supernatural threats exist beyond the awareness of ordinary people. This approach gives the film a more serious and mature tone compared with many cosmic book adaptations released later. The film also strongly incorporates elements of the horror genre. Vampires serve as the primary antagonist in the story, frequently highlight the frightening nature of these creatures. Scenes often include dark hallway, underground hideout, violent confrontation that emphasize darker and suspense. The horror influence is visible not only in the narrative but also in the visual design. Shadow, dim lighting, and era setting create a sense that the world of vampire exists just beneath the surface of everyday life. In addition to the horror, Blade features a strong action component. The movie contains numerous combat sequences that showcase martial art, weapon battle, and fast-paced chase. Blade himself is portrayed as a highly risk fighter who combines strength, speed, and discipline in every confrontation. These action scenes contribute to the film's energetic pacing. The narrative move forward quickly, often transitioning from investigation to confrontation without long pauses. This rhythm helps maintain tension throughout the story and keep viewers engaged with the unfolding conflict between the Blade and the vampire hierarchy. The overall mood of the film is dark, intense, and slightly mysterious. Much of the story takes place at night or in location illuminated by artificial lighting such as neon sign and industrial lamp. This visual approach reinforces the idea that the vampire world thrives in darkness. The filmmaker intentionally used ski lighting and urban environment to give the film a gritty atmosphere. Abandoned warehouse, secrets, laboratories, and underground clubs form the backdrop for many scenes, creating a sense that the character operates within a hidden society separate from normal human life. One of the most memorable stylistic choice in the film is its distinctive visual style and cinematography. The camera often moves dynamically using during action scenes, capturing fast movement and dramatic angles that enhance the intensity of the fight. Close-up should emphasize Blade calm and controlled demeanor, while wider should reveal the scale of the battle against group of vampires. These balance between the character focus shoot and larger action moments contribute to the film's cinematic energy. The sound design and music also play an important role in shaping the mood. The soundtrack include electronic and techno-inspired music that reflect the cultural atmosphere of the late 90s. These musical elements are especially noticeable during nightclub scene and action sequence. The rhythm of the music often matches the pace of the fight, helping create a sense of momentum and excitement. This stylistic design gives the movie a modern and edgy feeling that aligns with its dark urban setting. Another important aspect of the film's tone is the serious and focused personality of the main character. Blade is not portrayed as a humorous or light-hearted hero. Instead, he appears disciplined, determined, and emotionally reserved. His quiet presence adds to the film's serious mood rather than relying on jokes or comedic relief. The movie maintains a consistent tone of tension and determination as Blade pursues his mission to eliminate vampires. Overall, the genre and the mood of the Blade combine to create a film that feels both intense and stylish. By blending superhero storytelling with horror imagery and fast-paced action, the movie built a distinctive atmosphere that set it apart from other comic book adaptations of its time. Its dark tone, urban visuals, and energetic pacing all contribute to a cinematic experience that remains memorable for audiences interested in action-driven supernatural stories. Before watching the film, audience often develop certain expectation based on the film genre, promotional material, and the reputation of the actors and the creators involved. Directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the movie naturally attract viewers who are interested in action, supernatural stories, darker comic book adaptation. Understanding these expectations help explain why different type of the audience may approach the film with particular ideas about what they will experience. One of the first factors shaping the audience expectation is viewers demographic. The film is generally aimed at teen and adult audience, especially those who enjoy intense action and darker theme. Unlike many superhero films that appeal strongly to the children and the family, Blades clearly target a more mature group. The presence of violent battles, vampire mythology, and a gritty urban setting signal that the movie is designed primarily for viewers who appreciate serious and sometimes brutal storytelling. Younger viewers might still find the film exciting, but the tones and the themes suggest that it is more suitable for audience comfortable with darker narrative. Another important demographic group include fan of action cinema. Wesley Snipes had already built a reputation as a strong action performer before Blade was released. Many viewers who were familiar with his previous lore expected the film to feature impressive fight cinematography and physical performance. Snipe martial art background encourage audience to anticipate dynamic combat scenes involving swords, martial arts technique, and creative weapons. For these viewers, the movie promises an energetic action experience combined with supernatural element. In addition to the action fan, the film naturally attract horror and vampire genre enthusiastic. Vampire stories have long been popular in cinema, from classic gothic tale to the modern interpretation. Fan of vampire mythology often expect a combination of mystery, danger, and supernatural power. When approaching Blade, these viewers might anticipate seeing a fresh interpretation or vampire concept. Instead of focusing on traditional castles or historical setting, the film places vampire within a modern urban environment. This shift creates curiosity among genre fans who are interested in seeing how the story adopts familiar supernatural theme to a contemporary setting. Cosmic book fans also represent an important segment of the audience. Blade originates from Marvel Comics, and the viewers familiar with cosmic book character often expect a film adaptation to capture the spirit of the source material. Before the late 90s, however, cosmic book movies had mixed results in terms of quality and popularity. Because of this, some cosmic fans approach the film with caution curiosity. They hope the movie could present a serious and visually impressive interpretation of the character rather than a simplistic or overly campy version. These expectations make audience particularly attentive to the film's tone, costume design, and portrayal of the hero. Beyond specific demographic, audience also develop expectations regarding anticipated theme based on promotional trailers and marketing. Viewers might expect the movie to explore themes such as the struggle between good and evil, the nature of the power, and the conflict between human and monster identities. The character of Blade, who exists between two worlds as both human and vampire, suggests a story that deals with identity and inner conflict. Many viewers expect the narrative to examine how the protagonist managed this dual nature while fighting against the very creature that shared his ability. Another common expectation involves the tone and atmosphere of the film. Promotional materials and clearly reviews often emphasize the movie's dark style and stylish action. As a result, many viewers approach the film expecting a visually striking experience filled with shadowy environment, dramatic lighting, and high energy fight scenes. Fans of the dark fantasy and supernatural thriller may anticipate a mood that feels intense and mysterious rather than light-hearted or comedic. The genre combination also shape expectation because Blade blends superhero storytelling with horror and action. Audience often expect a hybrid experience that include elements from all three categories. Action fan anticipate thrilling combat scenes, horror fan expect suspense and supernatural creature. Cosmic book fan look forward to a powerful hero confronting a dangerous villain. This combination can generate excitement because it promises something different from more traditional superhero film. However, expectation can vary widely depending on the viewer's background and preferences. Some audience may focus primarily on the action and the spectacle, hoping for entertainment, fight scenes, and dramatic confrontation. Others may be more interested in the film's darker theme and atmospheric storytelling. For genre enthusiastic, part of the appeal lies in discovering how successfully the film balances three different elements. Ultimately, audience expectation before watching the film often revolve around three main ideas: intense action, dark supernatural theme, and distinctive superhero character. Viewers typically anticipate a movie that feels stylish, energetic, and slightly mysterious. This expectation helps set the stage for the viewing experience, shaping how audience interpret the film's story, character, and visual style once the movie begins. Understanding the target audience of the Blade help explain why the movie was designed with a particular tone, style, and storytelling approach. Directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the film was created primarily for viewers who enjoy darker action movies, supernatural stories, and intense cinematic experience. Unlike many superhero films that aim to reach the widest possible audience, Blade focuses on a more specific group of viewers whose interests align with his mature themes and gritty atmosphere. One of the most important aspects of the target audience is the age group. The movie is generally intended for older teenagers and adults, particularly viewers age 16 and above. The film contains intense fight scenes, violent confrontation with vampire, and a generally dark tone. Because of these elements, it is not typically considered a family-friendly superhero film. Younger children might find the darker imagery and action sequence overwhelming, while older teens and adults are more likely to appreciate the film's serious storytelling and stylized violence. Another defining factor is viewer interest in action and martial art. Many of the movie's most memorable moments involve carefully choreographed fight scenes. Blade is portrayed as a highly skilled warrior who used swords, martial art, and stylized weapons to battle vampire. Fan of action movies who enjoy this type of combat focused storytelling. The performance of Wesley Snipes contribute greatly to this appeal, as his physical abilities and martial art background bring realism and intensity to the action sequence. As a result, viewers who enjoy fast-paced combat scenes and energetic battle are a major part of the film's target audience. In addition to the action fan, the film strongly appeal to the viewers interested in supernatural and horror theme. The central conflict of the movie revolve around vampire secret societies and ancient ritual. These elements place the movie with the broader tradition of vampire story in cinema. Fans who enjoy supernatural worlds and dark fantasy narrative are likely to find the movie engaging. The film represents vampire not as romantic or tragic figure but as dangerous predator hiding within modern society. This darker portrayal may appeal particularly to the viewer who prefer horror-inspired storytelling. Another key audience group include fan of comic book and superhero story. Blade is originally a character from Marvel Comics, and many viewers who follow comic book adaptation are naturally interested in seeing how much characters are brought to life on screen. However, the tone of the Blade differs from many traditional superhero films. Instead of bright costume and humorous dialogue, the movie focuses on a brooding and disciplined hero who operates alone in a dangerous environment. Because of this, the film may appeal more to comic book fans who enjoy darker and more serious interpretation of superhero character. The genre preferences of the audience also play a major role. The movie blends several genres including superhero, action, horror, and fantasy. dark. This mixture creates a distinctive viewing experience that may attract people who enjoy genre crossover. For example, someone who enjoys both action movies and supernatural thriller may find Blade especially appealing because it combines these elements in a single story. The film pacing, visual style, and soundtrack for the reinforces appeal by creating an energetic and stylish atmosphere. Another aspect of the target audience is viewers who appreciate stylish and visually distinctive film. Blade used dramatic lighting, urban setting, and intense action choreography to create a recognizable visual identity. Many scenes take place at night in a shadowy environment, which give the movie a gritty and mysterious mood. Viewers who enjoy movies with strong visual style and unique atmosphere may be particularly drawn to this type of filmmaking. The film also blends tends to appeal to fans of darker protagonists. Unlike traditional heroes who often display bright optimism, Blade is portrayed as a quiet, serious character with a complicated identity. As a half human and half vampire warrior, he exists between two worlds and must constantly control his own nature while fighting enemies who share his power. This internal struggle adds depth to the character and may resonate with viewers who appreciate complex heroes rather than purely idealized figures. Finally, the movie may attract audience who enjoy intense cinematic experience. The combination of high energy action, dark theme, and supernatural conflict create a film that feels dramatic and powerful. Viewers who prefer movies with strong tension, thrilling confrontation, and a serious tone are likely to find Blade engaging from beginning to end. Target audience of the film consists mainly of older teenagers and adults who enjoy action, horror, and darker superhero story. Fan of martial art, compact vampire mythology, and stylish filmmaking are especially likely to appreciate the movie. By focusing on these specific viewer interests, the film successfully deliver a unique experience that stand apart from more traditional cosmic book adaptation. The emotional experience promised by the film is quite different from the feeling often associated with traditional superhero movies. Directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the film creates an emotional journey built around tension, intensity, and determination rather than light-hearted excitement. From the beginning, the movie establishes a dark atmosphere that encourages viewers to feel suspense, curiosity, and adrenaline as the story unfolds. One of the most noticeable emotional elements of the film is its dark and intense mood. The story takes place in a world where vampires secretly live among humans. Another emotional effect comes from the film's style, presentation, and atmosphere. The use of dark lighting, energetic music, and dramatic visual create a cinematic experience that feel immersive and intense. These stylistic choices influence how viewers emotionally respond to the story. For example, the combination of pulsing music and rapid action sequence can heighten excitement, while shadowy environment can increase suspense and tension. Despite its darker tone, the film ultimately delivers a sense of satisfaction and charm. As the story progresses toward its conclusion, audience expect the hero to confront the villain and restore balance. The emotional payoff comes from watching Blade use his skill and determination to overcome powerful enemies. This resolution provides viewers with a feeling of closure and accomplishment after the intense journey. Overall, the emotional experience promised by the film centers on intensity, suspense, and determination. The movie invites viewers to feel excitement during action scenes, curiosity about the hidden vampire world, and determination for a hero who fight against the overwhelming odds. By combining dark themes with energetic storytelling, and the films create an emotional atmosphere that keep the audience engaging from beginning to end. At its most fundamental level, the story of Blade 1998 revolves around the exploration of identity, power, and struggle between humanity and darkness. Directed by Stephen Norrington and led by the commanding performance of Wesley Snipes, the film builds its narrative around a central concept: a hero who exists between two worlds must confront both central enemy and his own internal nature. While the movie presents the idea through action and supernatural conflict, the deeper concepts speak to broader themes about belonging, responsibility, and the control of the power. One of the most important themes in the story is the conflict between two identities. The protagonist is neither fully human nor fully vampire. Instead, he presents a balance between two opposing forms of existence. This unique position places him in a constant state of tension. On one side lies his human consciousness and moral sense and a desire to protect. On the other side exists the intensive power and the hunger associated with vampiric nature. The core story concept revolves around how an individual manages such duality. This narrative suggests that the identity is not determined slowly by biology or religion, but the personal choices and discipline. This struggle also introduces the theme of self-control. The hero's ability grants him significant power, yet that power comes with a dangerous cost. Without control, those abilities could transform him into the very type of creature he hunts. The story therefore present power as something that must be managed carefully. Strength alone is not enough. It must be balanced by responsibility and awareness. This idea reflects a broader philosophical message often found in heroic narrative. The greatest challenge is not defeating external enemies but mastering one's own nature. Another important concept within the film's core idea is the hidden conflict within society. The story imagines a world where supernatural beings secretly coexist with human. This hidden society represents forces that operate beneath the surface of everyday life. In abstract terms, it reflects the idea that unseen system of power and influence may exist within any social structure. The protagonist's mission is to expose and confront these hidden forces before they grow strong enough to dominate the visual world. The film also explored the theme of rebellion against tradition and authority. Within the vampire hierarchy, there are established rules and an ancient tradition that guide the behavior of their society. However, the main antagonist challenges these traditions, seeking to reshape the balance of power. This conflict between old system and new ambition reflect a broader idea about the danger of unchecked ambition. When individuals pursue power without limit, they may disrupt the balance that keep society stable. In this way, the story highlights the risk associated with radical change driven by personal desire rather than collective responsibility. Another central idea is the role of the outsider hero. The protagonist does not belong entirely to either side of the conflict. Human may fear him because of his supernatural abilities, while Empire reject him because he fights against them. This isolation gives the character a unique perspective. Being an outsider allows him to see the weakness and flaws of both worlds. In storytelling terms, the outsider hero often represents a bridge between opposing forces. He understands both sides yet chooses to defend the side that preserves life and freedom. The concept of duty and purpose also form a major part of the story's core message. The hero does not simply fight for personal revenge or survival, instead, he dedicates himself to a longer mission. His actions are guided by a sense of responsibility to protect others from a threat that may not even know exists. This sense of purpose transforms his struggle into something meaningful. The narrative suggests that true heroism arises when individuals commit themselves to protecting others even when that responsibility isolates them. Another theme abided in the story is the balance between darkness and light. Darkness in the film represents destructive instant uncontrolled power and domination. Light represents restraint, companion, and the preservation of life. The protagonist embodies both forces, which make him uniquely capable of maintaining balance. Rather than eliminating darkness entirely, the story suggests that survival depends on understanding and controlling it. This philosophical concept reflects the idea that every individual contains both constructive and destructive impulses. The story also touches on the concept of revelation and transformation. Both the hero and the villain represent different interpretations of what transformation mean the villains seek to evolve into a more powerful form of existence, believing that strength alone justify domination. The hero, however, represent a different kind of valuation, one based on discipline, restraint, and moral awareness. Through this contrast, the narrative question whether progress could should be measured by the power or by the ability to protect and sustain life. Finally, the film's core idea can be understood as a meditation on choice and moral direction. Although the protagonist was born with powers that could easily lead him toward darkness, he chooses a different path. His decision to fight against the vampire world demonstrates that origin does not define destiny, but ultimately shape a person's identity is the direction they choose when confronting with power and temptation. The film presents a world about the tension between instinct and responsibility, power and restraint, darkness and humanity. Through its supernatural conflict and action driven narrative, the film explores timeless questions about identity and purpose. It suggests that true measure of a hero's lies not in extraordinary ability but in the strength required to use through abilities for the protection of others. At the heart of the blade lies a powerful central conflict built around identity, power, and the tension between opposing forces. Directed by Stephen Norrington and featuring the intense performance of Wesley Snipes, the film constructs a narrative that revolves around both external confrontation and internal struggle. Rather than focusing solely on physical battle, the deeper conflict emerges from moral dilemmas, personal challenges, and the constant tension between different forms of existence. One of the most important aspects of the central conflict is the challenge between humanity and monstrosity. The protagonist exists in a state that connects him to both worlds. This dual identity creates a continuous challenge because he must decide how to define himself. On one side lies the human capacity for companion responsibility and moral judgment. On the other side lies the darker nature associated with the supernatural power he possesses. The conflict therefore becomes more than a battle against external enemies. It is also a psychological and moral struggle to determine which side of his nature will guide his action. This internal conflict introduces a significant moral dilemma. Possessing extraordinary abilities can easily lead to domination or destruction if those abilities are used without restraint. The protagonist must constantly decide how to manage his strength and instinct. The tension rises from the knowledge that the same power that allow him to protect humanity could also push him toward becoming similar to the very creature he possesses. This delicate balance between control and temptation form one of the film's most important narrative tension. Another dimension of the central conflict involves the clash between two visions of power within the story world. Power can be understood in different forms. One vision views power as a tool for domination and superiority. According to this perspective, strength grants the right to rule over others. The opposing vision interprets power as a responsibility. In this understanding, strength exists to protect those who are vulnerable and to preserve stability with society. The tension between these two interpretations of power create a philosophical conflict that drive the narrative forward. The story also conflict reflect the conflict between hidden forces and visible society. The narrative word suggests that powerful group may operate beyond the awareness of ordinary people. This hidden influence create a sense of imbalance. When powerful forces remain unseen, they can manipulate system and structure without accountability. The central conflict therefore involves the effort to reveal and challenge those hidden structures before they gain complete word. These themes reflect broader questions about transparency, authority, and the danger of unchecked influence. Another important element of tension is the struggle between tradition and transformation. In many systems of power, tradition exists to maintain stability and order. However, individuals within those systems may challenge established rule in pursuit of greater influence. The narrative explores what happens when ambition seeks to overturn long-standing structure. The resulting conflict is not simply about winning or losing power, but about meaning whether change will create progress or chaos. This dynamic produces tension between those who wish to maintain balance and those who seek radical transformation. The protagonist's role within this struggle also highlight the challenge of belonging. As a figure who does not fully belong to any group, he occupies a space between identity. These positions offer unique advantages such as the ability to understand multiple perspectives. However, it also produces isolation. The inability to fully integrate into either side create emotional tension. The character must confront the reality that fulfilling his purpose may require permanent separation from ordinary life. This isolation strengthens the narrative conflict by emphasizing the personal cost of responsibility. Another aspect of the central conflict arises from the temptation of power. In many stories, power offers the promise of freedom from limitation. It can create the illusion that strength alone provide meaning or purpose. The narrative challenges this idea by suggesting that power without moral direction becomes destructive. The tension lies in whether individual will allow ambition to override ethical boundaries. This question reflects a broader philosophical debate about the relationship between strength and morality. The conflict also reflects the struggle to maintain balance in a world of extreme opposing forces. Light and darkness, restraint, aggression, protection, and domination continually push against each other. The protagonist's role is not simply to eliminate on one side of the conflict but to prevent imbalance from destroying the system as a whole. This idea adds complexity to the narrative because it suggests that conflict itself is a natural part of existence. The challenge lies in ensuring that destructive forces do not overwhelm constructive ones. Finally, the central conflict embodies the idea of choice under pressure. Character within the story repeatedly face decisions that reveal their values and priorities. These choices determine whether they pursue domination, survival, or protection of others. The narrative tension arises from the understanding that each decision shapes the future of both individual and society. Even when circumstances appear predetermined by nature or power, the story emphasizes that personal choice remain a decisive factor. The central conflict of the film operates on multiple levels. It includes the internal struggle between human morality and darker instinct, the philosophical debate over the meaning of power, and the border tension between hidden forces and societal balance. Through these overlapping challenges and moral dilemmas, the film presents a narrative where the greatest battles are not only fought against external opponent but also within the boundaries of identity, responsibility, and ethical choices. The story of the film explores several powerful themes that go beyond its action horror surface. Directed by Stephen Norrington, led by the intense performance of Wesley Snipes, the film combines superhero storytelling with deeper reflection on identity, morality, and power. Beneath the fast-paced, compact, and supernatural element, the narrative addresses ethical questions, emotional struggle, culture ideas that give the story greater meaning. One of the most significant themes in the film is the struggle with identity. The protagonist exists between two different forms of existence, human and vampire. The dual nature creates ongoing emotional conflict. He possesses the abilities of a powerful supernatural being, yet he chooses to use those abilities to defend humanity. This situation raises important ethical question. If someone carries the trait of both sides of a conflict, where do they truly shape by decision, discipline, and the values a person chooses to follow? Closely connected to this idea is the theme of self-control and responsibility. The protagonist's ability grant him extraordinary strength and power. However, these gifts also carry the risk of losing control and becoming destructive. These create a moral challenge that run throughout the narrative. The story asks whether power should be used for domination or protection. By emphasizing restraint and discipline, the film presents a message that true strength lies not in raw ability but in the ability to control one's impulses. Another major theme explored in the movie is the nature of good and evil. Rather than presenting these ideas in a simple or purely symbolic way, The film suggests that good and evil can sometimes exist within the same individual. The hero himself contains elements associated with the creature he hunts. This duality raises philosophical questions about morality. If someone shares characteristics with the enemy, does that make them dangerous or simply are misunderstood? The film's approach encourages viewers to think about morality as something more complex than a clear separation between heroes and villains. The movie also explored the theme of outsider and belonging. The central character is not fully accepted by any group. Human may fear his power while vampire reject him because he fight against them. This isolation reflects the broader experience of individuals who exist between culture, communities, or identities. Being an outsider can be difficult and lonely, but the story suggests that it also provides a unique perspective because the hero stands between two worlds. He understands both sides more closely than anyone else. And then an important theme involves the corruption that can come from unchecked ambition. Some characters in the story pursue power without considering its consequence. They view strength as a way to dominate others rather than as responsibility. This theme raises ethical questions about leadership and authority. What happens when individuals pursue power purely for personal gain? The narrative suggests that ambition without limit can lead to imbalance and destruction. The film also touches on the concept of hidden societies and unseen influence. In the story's world, powerful supernatural beings operate quietly within human civilization. This idea reflects a broader cultural theme often explored in fiction, the possibility that hidden system of power may exist beneath the surface of ordinary life. These hidden structures create tension between they operate without public awareness or accountability. The story encourages viewers to consider how power might function in unseen way within real society. Another theme explored in the film is the emotional cost of duty. The protagonist's mission to protect humanity requires constant vigilance and sacrifice. Living a life dedicated to fighting dangerous enemies leave little room for normal relationship or personal comfort. This emotional arc highlights the loneliness that can accompany responsibility. The hero must accept that fulfilling his purpose may separate him from ordinary life. Through this struggle, the film explored the idea that heroism often comes with personal sacrifice. The narrative also raised questions about balance between darkness and light. Darkness in the story represents uncontrolled instinct, violence, and domination. Light represents discipline, protection, and companion. The hero embodies both sides, which allow him to maintain balance rather than eliminating darkness entirely. The story suggests that understanding and controlling it is the key to survival. This theme reflects a broader philosophical idea that human nature includes both constructive and destructive impulses. The films additionally reflect cultural themes related to modern urban life and hidden dangers by placing supernatural conflict within a contemporary city environment. The movie suggests that danger can exist even within familiar spaces. Nightclub, laboratories, and city streets become setting where ordinary life intersect with hidden threat. This approach adds realism to the story, encourages viewers to imagine how extraordinary event might unfold within everyday surrounding. Finally, the movie explores the theme of choice and moral direction. Despite being born with power that could easily lead him toward darkness, the protagonist chooses to follow a different path. This decision represents the film's central message. Individuals are not defined solely by their origin, but by their choices they make. Even when circumstances seem predetermined, the ability to choose a moral direction remains powerful. Blade remain a wide range of themes that hidden intersection-driven narrative. Through ethical question about power and responsibility, emotional arcs center on identity and sacrifice, and culture ideas about hidden societies and belonging. The film presents a story that resonates beyond its supernatural premise. By combining intense action with thoughtful theme, the movie offers both entertainment and reflection on the nature of identity, morality, and responsibility that accompany power. The story of Blade connects emotionally with viewers by combining intense action, dark atmosphere, and deeper theme about identity and purpose. Directed by Stephen Norrington and featuring the powerful performance of Wesley Snipes, the film builds a moving experience that goes beyond simple entertainment. While the movie is known for its stylish, compact, and supernatural elements, its emotional connection with audience comes from the mood it creates, the theme it explores, and the way viewers experience the journey of its central character. One of the most immediate way the film connects emotionally is through its dark and intense mood from the beginning. The atmosphere suggests that the world of the story is filled with hidden danger. The settings are often shadowy and mysterious, creating a sense that powerful forces are operating beneath the surface of ordinary life. This atmosphere encourages viewers to feel curiosity and suspense. The feeling that something dangerous could appear at any moment keep the audience mentally and emotionally engaged within the story. Instead of offering a relaxed viewing experience, the movie invites viewers to remain alert and invested in what might happen next. Another important emotional element comes from the sense of determination and purpose displayed by the main character. Blade is not simply a hero who enjoys adventure, he is someone who carries a deep responsibility. His mission to protect humanity keeps the story emotional way. Viewers may feel admiration for his discipline and commitment because he continues to fight despite the personal challenges he faces. Dedication creates a sense of respect and connection between the audience and the character. Many viewers are drawn to stories where a protagonist shows strength not only in battle but also in personal resolve. The film also creates emotional engagement through its theme of inner conflict. Blade existence between two worlds, human and vampire, introduces a psychological dimension to the story. This dual identity means he must constantly control his own nature while fighting against creatures who share similar power. For viewers, this struggle can feel relatable on a symbolic level. While most people do not face supernatural challenges, many understand what it feels like to struggle with different parts of their identity or personality. The story reflects the idea that individuals often must choose which aspect of themselves they will allow to guide their action. Another aspect that strengthens the emotional connection is the theme of isolation and belonging. Blade lives a life that separates him from more normal society because of his unique condition. He does not fully belong to a human world, yet he also stands in opposition to the vampire world. This situation creates a sense of loneliness that many viewers can understand. Stories about characters who feel like outsiders often resonate strongly with audience because they reflect universal feeling about identity and acceptance. Even though the film setting is supernatural, the emotional experience of being different for or misunderstood is something many people recognize. The viewer experience is also shaped by the film's pacing and action sequence. The fast moving fight and confrontation generate excitement and adrenaline. During these moments, audience may feel energized and immersed in the story. Action scenes are not only about spectacle, they also create emotional release. After a moment of tension or suspense, the arrival of an intense battle can provide a sense of relief and excitement. And this rhythm between suspense and action help maintain emotional engagement throughout the film. Music and visual style also contribute to the emotional impact. The energetic soundtrack and dramatic lighting create a powerful atmosphere that heighten the viewer's reaction. When music intensifies during an action scene, it can increase the feeling of excitement. When scenes are quieter and darker, the mood becomes more mysterious or tense. These stylistic choices influence how audience emotionally interpret each part of the story. Another emotional layer appears in the film's theme about responsibility and sacrifice. Blade mission require constant focus and dedication. Protecting others from a hidden threat leaves little room for personal comfort or normal life. This aspect of the story remind viewers that heroism often involves sacrifice. The idea that someone could willingly carry such a burden to protect others can inspire feeling of admiration and respect. It also highlights the emotional cost that sometimes accompanies act of courage. The movie also appealed to viewers through the themes of confronting darkness. In the story, darkness represents both literal enemies and internal struggle. Blair's journey shows that confronting darkness requires courage, discipline, and persistence. This message resonates emotionally because it reflects challenges people face in their own life. The idea that strength can come from confronting fear or temptation gives the story a deeper sense of meaning. Finally, the film delivers a sense of emotional satisfaction through resilience and triumph. As the narrative progresses, we would expect the hero to face increasingly difficult challenges. Watching him continue to resist powerful enemy create tension, but it also builds anticipation for eventual victory. When determination overcomes danger, audience experience a feeling of resolution and accomplishment. The emotional connection created by Blade comes from its combination of mood, theme, and immersive storytelling. The dark atmosphere builds suspense, the character inner conflict encourages empathy, and the theme of identity, sacrifice, and the determination resonate with viewers on a deeper level. Through this blend of action and emotional depth, the film provides a viewing experience that engages both excitement and the imagination of its audience. One of the most compelling aspects of Blade lies in its character and role they play in shaping the story's tone and direction. Directed by Stephen Norrington, led by the commanding performances of Wesley Snipes, the film built its narrative around a small but effective group of characters. Each character represents a particular archetype and contribute to the film's theme of identity, power, and moral responsibility. From a reviewer's perspective, the character in Blade function less as deeply emotional figure and more as a symbol of different perspective within the film's conflict. Their personality, motivation, and roles are designed to highlight the tension between humanity and supernatural world. By examining the main character through their archetype and personality trait, it becomes easier to understand how the film constructs dramatic structure. The central figure of the story is Blade, the main protagonist in terms of archetype. Blade represents the dark hero, a reluctant guardian. Unlike traditional superheroes who openly celebrate their power, Blade operates quietly and with intense discipline. His personality is defined by control, focus, and emotional restraint throughout the film. He rarely displays exaggerated emotion, which add to his mysterious presence. This calm and controlled demeanor reflects the internal discipline required to manage his unique condition as someone who exists between two worlds. Its personality traits include determination, independence, and a strong moral core. Even though he possesses abilities similar to those of the creature he hunts, he chooses to dedicate his life to protecting humanity. This decision defines his character arc and position him as a symbol of self-control. From a reviewer standpoint, Blair's stoic personality also helped reinforce the film's darker tone. Rather than relying on humor or expressive dialogue, the character communicates strength through action and presence. Opposing the protagonist is the film's primary antagonist, Deacon Frost. Frost represents the archetype of the ambitious rebel or power seeking challenger. His personality contrasts sharply with Blair's calm discipline. Frost is confident, charismatic, and driven by a desire to reshape the existing power structure. Where Blade represents restraint or responsibility, Frost symbolizes ambition and transformation. This contrast between the two characters forms the core dramatic tension of the story. From an analytical perspective, Frost's personality traits include rebellion, ambition, and a desire for recognition. He rejects the traditional authority structure within the vampire world and seeks to create a new order that places him at the center of power. This motivation reflects a broader storytelling theme, the danger of ambition when it is not balanced by responsibility. Frost, confident and sometimes arrogant demoniac, highlight his belief that power should belong to those strong enough to claim it. Another important character is Dr. Karen Jensen, who represents the archetype of the outsider observer and moral witness. As someone who is introduced to the hidden world of vampire. He functions as a bridge between the audience and the supernatural conflict unfolding in the story. Her role allows viewer to experience the mystery and danger of the vampire world from a human perspective. Karen's personality traits include curiosity, intelligence, and resilience. Rather than remaining passive, she becomes actively involved in understanding the supernatural force around her. Her scientific background give her a logical approach to the extraordinary events she encountered. From a reviewer perspective, her presence helps balance the story by providing a character who reacts to the supernatural world with both skepticism and determination. The character Whistler serves as another important figure in the narrative. He represents the archetype of the mentor and the guide. Mentor in storytelling often provide knowledge, support, and emotional grounding for the hero. Whistler fulfills this role by helping Blade navigate the challenges associated with his abilities and mission. Whistler's personality is defined by loyalty, experience, and practicality. He understands the danger of the vampire world and dedicates himself to assisting Blade fight against it. His character adds emotional depth to the story because he represents the real human relationship that Blade can rely on. This mentorship dynamic emphasizes the theme that even the strongest heroes benefit from audience and partnership. From a broader analytical perspective, these characters function as a representation of different moral and philosophical positions within the story. Blade represents the discipline and responsibility. Frost embodies ambition and transformation. Karen symbolizes curiosity and human perspective. While Whistler represents experience and mentorship. Together, they create a narrative structure where each character reflects a different response to power and conflict. In reviewing the film's character design, it becomes clear that Blade prioritized strong archetypal role rather than deeply complex psychological exploration. This approach works effectively because the film's primary focus is on atmosphere, action, and thematic tension. The characters serve as a anchor that guide viewers through the darker world the movie represents. Ultimately, the character in this film contributes significantly to the film's impact through their casting, personalities, and symbolic role. They help shape a story that explores power, identity, and responsibility that come with extraordinary abilities. Even within a fast, action-paced narrative, these character archetypes provide the foundation that allow the film's theme and conflict to resonate with audience. The acting performance in this film play a significant role in shaping the movie's overall impact. While the film is widely remembered for its stylish action and dark atmosphere, the emotional energy of the performance helped bring the character and their struggle to life. Directed by Stephen Norrington, the film relies heavily on the presence of its lead actor while also benefited from its contributing of a strong supporting cast. Together, these performances create a dynamic viewing experience that balance intensity, tension, and moment of human connection. At the center of the film stands the performance of Wesley Snipes as Blade. His portrait is one of the defining elements of the movie and gives the character a powerful identity. Snipes approached the role with a control and disciplined acting style that fit perfectly with the character's personality. Blade is not written as a highly expressive or talkative hero. Instead, he communicates through calm confidence, precise movement, and focused determination. Snipes captured this personality with a remarkable consistency. Emotionally, Snipes' performance works because it conveys strength without exaggeration. He does not rely on dramatic speeches or emotional outbursts to establish the character seriousness. Another important aspect of Snipes' performance is the physical commitment he brings to the role. His martial art background allows him to perform action scenes with confidence and authenticity. The fight sequence feel more believable because his movement appear natural and controlled. From an emotional perspective, this typical authenticity helps viewer connect with the character's determination. Every action scenes feel like an extension of Blair's disciplined personality rather than simply a visual spectacle. The film's primary antagonist, Deacon Frost, is portrayed by Stephen Dorff. His performance provides an effective contrast to Snipes' calm and controlled hero. Dorff plays Frost with a charismatic and rebellious energy that makes the character stand out. Emotionally, Frost is most expressive and unpredictable than Blade. He carries an attitude of confidence and ambition that reflects his desire for power. Dorff's performance adds tension to the film because he presents the villain as someone who enjoys his authority and influence. His expression, voice, and mannerism suggest a character who believes strongly in his own vision of the world. This confidence makes him a compelling opponent for Blade. The emotional contrast between the two characters, one disciplined and control, the other bold and ambitious, create a dramatic balance that strengthens the story. The supporting cast also contribute meaningfully to the film's emotional tone. Kristofferson plays Whistler, Blade mentor, and ally. Kristofferson brings a grounded and experienced presence to the role. His performance adds warmth and humanity to the story, while Blade often appears isolated and emotionally distant. Whistler represents loyalty and support. The relationship between these two characters create one of the film's most genuine emotional connections. Kristofferson's acting style is natural and understated, which work well alongside Snipe control performance. Their scenes together reveal a sense of mutual respect and trust. This dynamic provides viewers with moments of emotional relief in a story otherwise dominated by conflict and danger. The mentor-student relationship between Whistler and Blade help remind audience that even the strongest hero rely on guidance and friendship. Another key supporting performance comes from Anne Bush Wright, who portrayed Dr. Karen Jensen. Her character introduced a human perspective into the story's supernatural world. Wright's performance convey curiosity, concern, and determination as her character encountered the hidden dangers surrounding her. Emotionally, Karen represents the audience viewpoint, reacting to the extraordinary event with a mixture of fear and fascination. The chemistry between the cast members is another element that enhances the film's emotional effectiveness. The interaction between Blade and Whistler create a believable sense of partnership. Meanwhile, the confrontation between Blade and Frost generate tension and excitement even when the characters share limited screen time together. The performance maintain a sense of connection that keep the story engages. From a reviewer's perspective, the acting in Blade may not focus heavily on deep emotional drama, but it succeeds in creating strong, memorable character identity. Performer understand the tone of the film and adopt their style to match its dark and intense atmosphere. The emotional strength of the performance comes from their clarity and consistency rather than elaborate emotional arcs. Ultimately, the acting performance Blade the 1998 contribute greatly to the film's lasting popularity. Wesley Snipes anchored the story with a powerful and disciplined portrait to the hero, while the supporting cast add contrast, humanity, and tension. Through its ambition of performance, the film creates character that within its dark and action-driven world. Another Blade exists within a supernatural world filled with vampires and extraordinary abilities. The film still attempt to create a sense of realism through its character and their emotional struggles. Directed by Stephen Norrington, led by the strong performance of Wesley Snipes, the movie balances fantasy with believable motivation and human emotion. While the story features intense action and supernatural element, the character remain grounding through their personalities, choices, and relationship. One of the most notable aspect of realism in the film is its character development. The central character Blade is representing as more than just a powerful fighter. Her personality is shaped by the unique circumstances of his life because he exists between two worlds, human and vampire. He must constantly maintain control over resistance. Now, another important element contributed to realism is the believability of the character's motivation. Each major character operates with a clear purpose that fits within the story's world. Blade's fight because he believes it is his responsibility to protect humanity from a hidden threat. His mission is not driven by fame or recognition, but by a personal sense of duty. This motivation feels authentic because it is consistent with his personality and background. The antagonist Deacon Frost provide a contrasting form of believability. His ambition and desire for power reflect common human motivation even though he exists within a supernatural society. Frost represents the type of individual who challenges established authority and seek to reshape system for personal gain. His rebellious nature and confidence make him a believable rival because his goals follow a logical pattern of ambition. Even within a fictional world, audience can recognize the familiar trait of someone driven by the desire to rise above existing limits. Sporting character also contribute to the film's sense of realism. The character of Whistler, portrayed by Kristofferson, serve as a mentor figure who help guide Blade through his mission. His experience and practical attitude create a grounding influence within the story. Whistler's knowledge of weapons, strategy, and survival suggests that he has spent years confronting the vampire threat. This background adds depth to his character and make his role feel believable within the narrative. Similarly, Dr. Karen Jensen, played by Anne Bushy-Wright, represent the perspective of an ordinary person encountering an extraordinary situation. Her reaction, curiosity, concern, and determination mirror what many viewers might feel if they were suddenly exposed to a hidden supernatural world. By showing her gradual understanding of the danger around, the film adds a layer of realism that allows audience to emotionally connect with the story. The emotional range displayed by the character also contribute to the film's depth. While the overall tone of the Blade remains dark and intense, moment of emotion appear in subtitle way. Blade determination reveal his commitment to protecting others while his Korean vulnerability hints at the personal cost of his mission. These quieter emotional moments give the character a sense of humanity that balances his powerful abilities. The relationship between the character further strengthens the emotional realism of the story. The bond between Blade and Whistler, for example, reflect trust and loyalty built over time. Their interactions suggest a shared history of battle and challenges, which add authenticity to their partnership. Even without lengthy explanation, the films convey that these characters rely on each other in meaningful way. From a broader perspective, the film approach to realism does not depend on making the supernatural elements seem ordinary. Instead, it focusing on making the human response to those elements feel genuine. The character behave in way that align with their personalities, experience, and goal. This consistency allow audience to concept the fictional world because the emotion and scene within it feel understandable. In conclusion, realism and character depth in film comes from its attention to believable motivation, subtitle emotional development, and grounded relationship. Even though the story include vampire extraordinary power, the character remain relatable through their struggle, responsibility, identity, and loyalty. By combining supernatural action with the human emotion, the film creates a narrative that feels both imaginative and emotionally credible. When analyzing the production budget of the film, it is helpful to examine the financial scale of the project, how the resources were distributed during production, and how the film spending compared with similar movies from the same era. Directed by Stephen Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes, the movies represent a mid-range studio production that balance financial caution with the technical demand of an action horror film. The estimated production budget for Blade was around $40 to $45 million in the late 90s. This level of funding placed the film somewhere between modest action project and large Hollywood blockbuster. Studios at the time were somewhat cautious about investing heavily in comic book adaptation because the genre had produced mixed financial results in earlier years. As a result, the budget for Blade was carefully planned to control risk while still allowing the filmmaker to create a visually impressive and entertaining film. The character of Blade is portrayed as a highly skilled fighter who uses martial arts, sports, and specialized weapons. To make these sequences convincing, the production required extensive stunt coordination and physical training. Wesley Snipes was known for his martial art experience, and his ability to perform many of the fight scenes himself helped create authentic action moments. However, staging these sequences safely still required professional stunt team rehearsals, and multiple take, all of which added to the overall production cost. Another important area of spending involved special effect and makeup design. Because the story is centered on vampires and supernatural transformation, the filmmaker had to create convincing visual effect. During the late 90s, digital technology was still developing, so production often rely on a mix of practical effect and early computer generated imagery. Makeup artists designed detailed vampire appearance using prosthetic and specialized material. At the same time, digital effects were used to create dramatic moments such as vampire disintegration or supernatural power. Combining practical effects with digital tools allow the filmmaker to manage costs while still achieving visually striking results. The set design and visual atmosphere also required careful financial planning. Much of the film take place in dark urban environment, including underground clubs, laboratories, and industrial locations. These settings required both constructed set and real-world filming location. Production design focused on creating environment that emphasize the film gritty tone. Lighting, equipment, set decoration, and costume design all play a role in building the movie distinctive visual identity. Blair's iconic black leather costume, weapons, and protective gear were also custom design elements that require additional production resources. Part of the budget was also allocated to cast and the crew composition. Wesley Snipes was already an established actor at the time due to his performance in action films such as Demolition Man and Passenger 57. His involvement added credibility and market appeal to the project. However, the film did not rely on a large number of high cost stars, which helped keep the act total budget with a manageable range. Much of the supporting cast consists of talented actors who contributed strong performance without dramatically increasing the financial demand of the production. When comparing Blade to similar film of the late 90s, the difference in budget becomes even more noticeable. For example, Batman and Robin reportedly had a production budget exceeding $120 million, making it a significantly larger financial investment. That film high spending reflected a more traditional blockbuster strategy. In contrast, Blade demonstrated that a comic book film could succeed with a more moderate budget if the resources were used efficiently. Another relevant comparison is with The Matrix, which had a production budget of approximately $63 million, though slightly more expensive than Blade. The Matrix also rely heavily on innovation, action, choreography, and visual effects. Both films illustrate how late 90s action cinema was evolving toward more stylish and technologically ambitious storytelling. The financial strategy behind Blade ultimately proved effective. By carefully allocating resources to the most important elements, action, choreography, visual effect, and production design, the filmmaker were able to create a movie that looked larger and more ambitious than its target budget might suggest. That this efficient use of funds allowed the film to achieve strong box office result and establish itself as a successful entry in the action and cosmic book film landscape. The production budget of the film reflects a balanced and strategic approach to filmmaking. With an estimated cost of around 40 to 45 million, the movie invested its resources primarily in action sequence, visual effect, and atmospheric design. Compared with larger superhero production of the film demonstrated that creative direction, careful resource allocation could produce a memorable cinematic experience without requiring an enormous budget. The domestic box office performance of the film is an interesting example of how a mid-budget action film can succeed in the North America market. When the movie was released in 1998, the superhero genre was not yet the dominant force in cinema that it would become in the following decade. Because of this, the financial performance of the film in the United States and Canada provide important context for understanding its impact on the industry. The most important market for Hollywood film because it reflects early audience response and can strongly influence global perception. In North America, the film earned approximately $70 million during its theatrical run. The film was considered a solid achievement, particularly when the production budget was estimated to be around $40 to $45 million for a film that combined action and horror element and featured a relatively lesser known cosmic book character. At the time, this level of revenue demonstrated that audiences were willing to support darker and more mature superhero stories. The movie opened strong during its first weekend in theater. The opening weekend earnings were around $17 million, which placed the film at the number one position in the North America box office ranking. Achieving the top spot during his debut weekend was an important signal that the film had captured audience attention. It also showed that marketing campaign successfully communicated the movie tone and appealed to viewers interested in action and supernatural theme. The performance during the following weeks helped confirm the film's popularity. The movie maintained strong attendance during its second weekend and remained near the top of the box office chart. Sustaining this level of performance for multiple weeks allowed the film to steadily increase its domestic total. Word of mouth recommendation likely play a role in encouraging more people to see the movie after its initial release. When audiences enjoy a film and share their experience with the other, it often lead to continued ticket sale. Audience trend at the time also helped support the movie's success. In the late 90s, there was growing interest among younger adult viewers in films that blended action with darker themes such as hero or supernatural element. The movie mixture of martial art, combat, vampire mythology, and stylized urban setting match the preferences of many viewers within this demographic group. Instead of targeting family or very young audience, the film focused on teenager and adults who were interested in more intense and visually striking entertainment. Another factor influencing domestic performance was the film's rating. The movie received an R rating, which meant that it was designed primarily for mature audience. While this limited the number of younger viewers who could attend, it also helped establish a clear identity. Many viewers who enjoyed darker action film appreciated that the story did not avoid violent confrontation or serious theme. This approach allowed the movie to differentiate itself from lighter cosmic book adaptation. When comparing the film to other releases from the same period, the domestic earnings appear respectable within the action and genre category. Some major comedies and large-scale blockbusters of the late 90s earned significantly higher total, but those films often had much larger budget and broader marketing campaign. In contrast, the film performed very well relatively to its production cost and genre expectation. The domestic success also became more meaningful when compared to the earlier comic book movies. During the mid to late 90s, audience enthusiasm for superhero film had become somewhat uncertain. A few highly expensive productions had received negative reaction, which made studios question about investing heavily in the genre. The strong performance of this film suggested that audience were still interested in comic book stories, especially if they offer a fresh tone and distinctive style. Another interesting aspect of the domestic box office performance is that the main character was not widely known among general audience before the movie release. Unlike characters who already have massive public recognition, this hero came from a moral niche area of comic book culture. Despite that limitation, the film managed to attract large number of viewers through its action-focused marketing and unique visual style. The domestic box office earning also played an important role in the development of the franchise. The financial success demonstrated that there was a strong audience base for this type of story. As a result, studios were encouraged to produce additional film featuring the same character. The later sequel expanded the story and continued to explore the supernatural world introduced in the original movie. The domestic box office result in the United States and Canada show that the film achieved solid commercial success. With approximately $70 million earned in the region, the movie recovered its production cost and proved that a darker superhero film could attract significant audience interest. Its performance helped build audience in comic book adaptation and contributed to the gradual growth of the superhero genre in the years that followed. The international box office performance of the Blade provide useful insight into how the film was received outside the North America market. While the domestic earning in the United States and the Canada form a strong foundation for the film's success. The international market played an important role in expanding its financial reach and global recognition. Examining the film performance across different regions helped reveal how audiences around the world responding to its unique combination of action, horror, and comic book storytelling. Outside the North America, the movie earned roughly $60 million internationally, bringing the worldwide total to well over $100 million for a film with an financial outcome during the late 1990s. The international market were becoming increasingly important for Hollywood production, and the film that appeal to global audience often rely on strong action element and visually striking style. This practical movie benefited from those characteristics because its action focused storytelling could be understood easily across language barriers. In Europe, the film performed particularly well in markets such as the United Kingdom, Germany, and France. European audience had a long history of interest in darker genre cinema, including horror and supernatural action film. Because the movie blended these elements with martial arts and choreography and stylized visuals, it fit well with the taste of many European viewers. The character's serious tone and the film's gritty urban atmosphere also align with the type of action film that were popular in European theater during the late 1990s. The Asian market also contributed to the film's international earning. In countries such as Japan and South Korea, audiences were already familiar with action cinema that emphasized martial art and stylized combat. The lead performance by Wesley Snipes, combined with the film's dynamic fight choreography, helped the movie appeal to viewers who appreciated physical action and martial arts skill. Although the character itself was not widely recognized in these regions before the movie release, the visual spectacle and intense combat sequence helped attract attention in late American market. The film found a moderate but steady audience. Action and horror films had traditionally performed well in these regions, especially when they feature strong visual storytelling and clear heroic character marketing campaign. In Latin America emphasized the film's action sequence and supernatural themes, which help connect with the viewers who enjoy high energy genre entertainment. One of the key factors behind the film's international performance was its marketing strategy. Promotional materials highlighted the movie's dark visual style, intense combat, and distinctive hero. Posters, trailers, and advertisements focus heavily on the character's powerful appearance and mysterious identity. By presenting the film as a stylish and action-driven experience, director were able to appeal to audience even in regions where the cosmic book source material was relatively unknown. Another important marketing element involved positioning the film within the broader action genre rather than railing slowly on its comic book origin. At the same time, comic book adaptations were not yet the dominant global franchise model they would later become. By promoting the movie primarily as an action horror spectacle, international distributor ensured that the viewers could approach it as a thrilling genre film rather than a niche adaptation. This strategy helped the movie attract audience who might not normally watch superhero related stories. The film's visual identity also played a role in its international reception. The dark costume, dramatic lighting, and a modern urban setting, creating a distinctive atmosphere that translated well across culture. Even viewers unfamiliar with the characters could quickly understand the tone and the style of the film. This universal visual appeal helped the movie maintain consistent interest in multiple markets. When comparing its international performance to other genre film of the late 1990s, the result appeared respectable and competitive. Large blockbuster production sometimes insignificantly higher global total, but those films typically had much larger budget and broader marketing campaign. In contrast, this film demonstrated that a moderately budgeted action horror project could still achieve solid international earning through strong visual identity and effective promotion. The global reception of the movie also helped establish the character as an internationally recognized figure within the action and cosmic book landscape. The success outside North America contributed to the decision to continue the franchise with later installment International audience had clearly shown interest in the character world and style, which encouraged studio to expand the series in the years that follow. Overall, the international box office performance of the film reflects steady and widespread interest across multiple regions by combining visually dynamic action with dark and distinctive atmosphere. The movie managed to attract and earn internationally. The combining visual dramatic with a dark and distinctive atmosphere, the movie managed to attract audience far beyond its original domestic market. The approximately $70 million earned internationally play a crucial role in evaluating the film's global financial success and strengthening its reputation as an influential late 90s genre production. The financial performance of The Blade become clear when examining its worldwide gross revenue alongside the concept of the break-even point. In film's economics, the break-even point represents the stage at which total revenue cover the combined expenses of production, marketing, and distribution. Only after reaching this point does the film being generating significant profit for the studio, because the motion picture involved multiple financial layers beyond the production budget alone. Analyzing global earnings provide a more accurate understanding of a movie commercial success. The worldwide gross of the film reached approximately $130 million, combining both domestic revenue from the United States and the Canada and international earnings from market across Europe, Asia, and Latin America, with the production budget estimated at around $40 to $45 million. The film achieved a global total that was nearly three times its production cost. At first glance, this might suggest a very large profit. However, the economics of filmmaking require a deeper analysis, because the production budget represents only one portion of the total financial investment. In addition to the production expenses, studios must also cover marketing and distribution costs. Marketing campaigns typically include advertising, trailer, poster, television promotion, promotional event designed to build audience awareness before and during a film's theatrical release. For a mid-budget action film like this, marketing costs may range from $20 to $30 million, depending on the scale of the promotional campaign and the number of international territories involved. Distribution costs represent another significant financial factor. Distribution must pay for the physical or digital discovery of film to theater, translation and localization for international marketing, contractual agreement with cinema chain. These logistical expenses add another layer to the total investment required to release the film worldwide. When combining production, marketing and distribution expenses, the total cost of bringing the film to global audience may have approached $70 to $80 million. Another important aspect of break-even analysis involves understanding revenue sharing between studios and theater. When a movie earns money at the box office, the entire ticket price does not go directly to the studio. Instead, the revenue is divided between the theater owner and the distribution company. In many markets, theaters keep approximately 40 to 50% of the ticket sale, though the exact percentage can vary depending on contractual agreement and the stage of the theatrical run. Because of this revenue split, a film typically need to earn about 2 to 2.5 times its production budget in global box office receipt to fully reach its break-even point. Applying this principle to the film suggests that a worldwide gross of around $120 million or more would likely be required to fully recover all major expenses. With global box office earning exceeding this threshold, the movie appeared to have successfully passed its break-even stage during its theatrical run. This financial outcome indicates that the project was not only able to recover its costs, but it also positioned itself to generate additional income through other revenue streams. Beyond theatrical earning, film also benefited from secondary revenue sources and which can significantly increase profitability after leaving theater. Movies typically generate income through home video sales, television broadcasting rights, and later digital streaming platform. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, home videos formats such as VHS and DVD were especially important source of revenue. Successful theatrical film often perform very well in the home entertainment market, adding millions of dollars to their overall financial result. International television licensing and later streaming distribution deal also contributed to the long-term value of the film, because the movie established A recognizable character and distinctive visual style, it maintained audience interest long after its theatrical release. This extended life cycle allowed the film to continue generating revenue through multiple distribution channels. The global audience response also play a key role in strengthening the film's financial position. The movie attracted viewers across multiple regions by combining action-driven storytelling with a unique dark aesthetic. Even in market where the cosmic book character was not widely known, audience responded positively to the film energetic action sequence and distinctive atmosphere. This broad appeal helped ensure that steady box office performance both domestically and internationally. When considering worldwide gross revenue, break-even threshold, and post-theatrical income stream, the financial outcome of the film can be described as a commercial success within its budget category. It demonstrated that a moderately funded action film stability without requiring the enormous budget associated with major blockbuster franchise. Worldwide gross of approximately $130 million allowed the film to surpass its estimated break-even point after accounting for production cost, marketing expenditure, and distribution expenses. Additional revenue from home entertainment and licensing further strengthened its financial position. The movie's ability to reach a broad global audience ultimately ensured that it remained profitable and helped pave the way for future installment in the franchise. The profitability of the film can be understood by examining the relationship between its total revenue and overall cost. While box office numbers provide the most visible indicator of success, a complete profitability analysis required considering production expenses, marketing costs, distribution fee, and additional income stream. By evaluating these elements, it becomes possible to determine whether the film generated a positive financial return for its studio and distributor. The film was produced with an estimated budget of about $40 to $45 million. This budget covered major production elements such as cast, salary, set construction, location filming, visual effects, stunt coordination, costume design, and post-production work. For an action horror movie released in the late 90s, this film placed the project in the mid-range category of Hollywood production, meaning it required strong but no extraordinary box office result to become profitable. However, the production budget alone does not represent the full financial investment. Motion picture studio must also allocate substantial funds for marketing and distribution. Marketing expenses typically include trailers, television advertising, posters, press events, and promotional partnership designed to generate public awareness. Distribution expenses involve delivering the film to theater, preparing localized version for international market, and negotiating exhibition agreement. For a film of this scale, marketing and distribution costs may have added another $25 to $35 million to the overall expenditure. When combining production and promotional spending, the total investment may have approached roughly $70 to $80 million. This figure represents the approximate amount that needed to be recovered through revenue stream before the film could generate meaningful profit. The film performed strongly at the global box office, earning around $130 million worldwide. At first, this total appeared to exceed the estimated cost of production and promotion. However, it is important to recognize that studios do not keep the entire box office gross. Theater owners retain a significant percentage of ticket sales, typically ranging from 40 to 50% depending on the region and contractual term. After counting for the exhibitor share, the portion returning to the studio may have been closer $65 to $70 million from theatrical revenue alone. While this theoretical return might appear close to the estimated total investment, the financial story does not end with cinema ticket sale. Films often generate substantial ancillary income which refer to the revenue earned after the theatrical run. In the late 90s, one of the most important source of ancillary revenue was the home entertainment market. VHS and later DVD release were extremely popular during this period, and successful films frequently earned millions of additional dollars through home video purchase and rental. Television licensing agreement also contributed to the film's financial performance. Broadcast network and cable channel regularly acquire rights to air successful theatrical film paying licensing fee that further revenue for the studio. Over time, additional distribution platforms such as digital streaming services have continued to generate income from established titles. Merchandising and brand recognition can also contribute indirectly to profitability. Though this film was not primarily designed as a merchandise driven property, the popularity of the character have strengthened the value of the intellectual property. This long-term brand value can influence decision to produce sequel, expand franchise, and develop additional related content. When considering these combined income streams, the film return on investment become more favorable. ROI measure how much profit is generated relative to the original investment. If a film costing approximately 70 to 80 million dollars in total expense ultimately produce significantly higher revenue through theatrical and post-theatrical market, the investment can be considered financially successful. Another important indicator of the profitability is the decision by studio to continue a film series. The positive financial result of the movie encouraged the production of additional installment in the franchise. Sequels are typically developed when studios believe that the original profit generated sufficient profit and audience interest to justify further investment. From a financial perspective, the movie represents a successful example of a mid-budget genre film achieving profitability through a balanced revenue stream. While its theoretical earning alone may have produced moderate profit budget, the addition of home video sales, television rights, and long-term distribution income significantly strengthen the overall financial outcome. The film can be considered profitable when evaluating the complete financial picture. Its worldwide box office performance helped recover production and marketing expenses, while ancillary income sources expanded the total revenue. The combination of the theatrical success and strong secondary market produced a positive return on investment, confirming that the project delivered financial value for the studio and distributor involved. The audience reaction to Blade was generally strong and positive, particularly among viewers who were interested in action, horror, and darker cosmic book stories. When the film was released in the late 90s, the superhero genre had not yet become the dominant force it is today. Because of this, the movie arrived in theater with a somewhat unique identity. Instead of presenting a traditional family-friendly superhero adventure, it delivered a darker, more intense, cinematic experience. This approach shaped the way audience responded and influenced the type of viewers who became most engaged with the film. One of the most noticeable aspects of the audience reaction involved demographic. The movie primarily attracted teenager, young adult, and adult viewers who were comfortable with mature theme and stylized violence. Because the film carried on R-rating, this target demographic naturally shifted toward viewers over the age of 70. These audience often include fans of action cinema, martial art film, and supernatural horror story. The film blend of these elements allow it to reach a group of viewers who wanted something more intense and visually bold than the typical comic book adaptation of the time. Young adult audience, especially those in their late teens and 20s, responded strongly to the movie styles and atmosphere. The film's dark aesthetic, energetic action scene, and modern urban setting created a tone that felt fresh compared to the other genre film of the period. Many viewers appreciated the sense that the movie did not attempt to soften its theme for a broader audience. Instead, it fully embraced its darker tone, which helped create a distinct identity that resonated with fans of edgier entertainment. Viewers' feedback frequently highlight the performance of Wesley Snipes as one of the most memorable aspects of the film. His portrayal of the central character combined confidence, the actor's martial art ability, and the authenticity it brought to the film's combat scenes. Because he performed many of the fight sequence himself, the action felt more convincing and energetic, which increased audience engagement. Another element frequently mentioned in viewers' reaction was the film's visual style and atmosphere. Audience were drawn to the movie's dark urban environment, dramatic lighting, and stylized action choreography. The combination of action and horror element created a mood that felt both intense and visually distinctive. Many viewers appreciated that the film establishes a strong visual identity rather than relying solely on dialogue or traditional storytelling ideas. Now, the Viewing recommendation for the film Blade depending largely on the viewer's taste in genre, tone, and storytelling style. The film combines action, horror, comic book themes into a dark and intense hypnotic experience. Because of its mature tone and stylized violence, it appeals more strongly to a specific type of audience rather than a broad family demographic. For action and genre fan, the movie is an easy recommendation. Viewers who enjoy fast-paced, compact, the martial art choreography and supernatural element will likely find the film engaging. The combination of urban setting, dark lighting, and stylized fight sequence. Darker comic book adaptation may also enjoy the film because it avoids the lighter tone often associated with traditional superhero story. The movie is also suitable for young adult and young audience, generally viewers age 17 and above. Its R-rated content including intense action scenes and a serious tone that may not be appreciated for younger viewers. Teenager and adults who enjoy mature fantasy or horror influenced storytelling are more likely to connect with the film style and theme. The emotional resonance of the story comes from theme of identity, responsibility, and control, which tend to resonate more strongly with older audience. Another group that may appreciate the film include fan of late 90s 90 action cinema. The movie reflects the stylistic trend of that era, including dramatic lighting, energetic editing, and a heavy emphasis on a physical stunt work. Viewers who enjoy the action film of that decade often appreciate the film's visual identity and the physical performance delivered by the Wesley Snipes. The film may not be ideal for everyone. Family audience or viewers who prefer lighter superhero stories might find the tone too darker or intense. People who dislike violent action or horror element may also be struggle to enjoy the film's atmosphere. Additionally, viewers who prefer the deeply complex character drama rather than action driven storytelling may feel that the narrative focuses more on spectacle than emotional exploration. The film is best suited for action fan, horror enthusiasts, and adult viewers who enjoy dark comic book adaptation. These audiences are most likely to appreciate its stylized, visually intense energy and serious tone.